on AFR Talk.
Welcome back. Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth, AFR Talk. And as I think about what has been taking place, not only with the terror threat, we really have known that for a while the president has not executed a strategy that is comprehensive or even understandable when it comes to our foreign policy and our war with Islamofascism, going so far as to call Fort Hood workplace violence, which in my estimation was disgusting. But what was even more troubling for me was the fact that people reelected a man with these policies. And you could say, well, are you telling? I'm not telling you how to vote. I'm telling you that you have policies that are undermining the national security of the United States, a willful blindness that has been exercised by this administration time and time again to go out and say we got sidetracked in Iraq, oppose the surge, take the benefit of the victory or at least an advancement in the cause, and then blow it with a status of forces agreement in Iraq, which we just had a major prison break there of terrorists. These things aren't going away. People used to say, Crane, why do you always spend so much time on foreign policy? Because there's a threat. People are in harm's way. Our soldiers are in harm's way. You give a press conference every Friday, Mr. President. President Bush, President Obama said the same thing, and it needs to happen. You need to update us. If we're going to put people in harm's way, let's do that. But now we have gotten to a place where it's certainly not 9/12/2001, and those people that were responding to the terror threat of 2001 based on feelings, and I understand that because we saw the devastation of what Islamofascists do when they have the opportunity to kill. Not diminishing the emotion. But you don't make policies on emotion. You make a policy based on the threat, addressing the threat and defeating the threat. And then you go out and you make the case to the American people. But of course, on the altar of politics, we had the left in this country sacrifice our national security with claims of Bush lied, people died. And if there's always those, oh, you say you're unbiased, you're not. No, it's the truth. Go back. Look at Kennedy. Look at the strategy which they outlined and understood after 2004 especially. And remember that in 2004, when Saddam Hussein met his end, we had people saying, hey, I got a nuclear program here. You all can have access to it. Because even brutal dictators are interested in self-preservation. E.g., Muammar Gaddafi. What about the Iranian regime? The Iranian regime, we're going to have to confront it, bottom line, and we need regime change. How to go about that? There's a big gap between invade and do nothing. But understand that they are in love with a genocidal Armageddon, the Islamic regime. And you don't get far by apologizing for America. America with all our faults. Not America right or wrong and all that nonsense. America with all our, quote, faults, measured against the utopian left vision of how things should be, and we just need more money to get there. Measured against that, that would be perfect and the unattainable. Well, Crane, it can work. Yeah, communism can work. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. You just want to be, yeah, some are more equal than others. Sure. Bottom line, you look at America, and specifically the American soldier, American Marine, those who've put their lives on the line, they've been the greatest force for freedom, certainly within the last 2 centuries. Say latter half. So understanding that this is not going to go away, and we do need to focus in on it, and we do need to know, and there'll always be people out on the jaywalking who don't know anything about anything, and that's look, I can't focus on them. I hope they take an interest at some point. I hope it impacts them. I hope the fact that they understand where their freedom comes from and it's defended, and to understand that freedom comes from God as opposed to the state. I hope they get that. I hope they understand that if it doesn't come from government, doesn't mean that somebody doesn't want the service provided. If the health care doesn't come from government, doesn't mean people who oppose government health care don't want that service provided. They just know the history of the federal government, which is incidentally $16 trillion in debt. And, the deficit, it's low, lowest point it's been. We've cut it, right? Remember the games of words that they use to describe this. Yeah, we've cut it from trillion plus, trillion, now it's 600 billion. Oh, yeah, and that's still 40% higher than President Bush's highest deficit. You see, the games that are being played. But Keith Ellison has an idea. He says, look, it's not the fact that America is broke. We just have to go where the money is. Minnesota congressman, speaking of the transaction tax at a conference this past week, roll it.
You know, people like George Soros, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Paul Krugman, Joe Stiglitz, Jeffrey Sachs, Dean Baker, Robert Poland, Larry Summers have all said they support a transaction tax. And so the bottom line is we're not broke. There's plenty of money. It's just the government doesn't have it. The government has a right. The government and the people of the United States have a right to run the programs of the United States. Health, welfare, housing, all these things. And the people who benefit from being here have a duty and obligation to help support it.
In my mind, there are government hucksters and race hustlers. And the idea of selling the welfare state, selling dependents, is not race related. It is all about selling what the government can take and provide, can redistribute. And it's the big lie. And they keep telling it day in and day out. Housing. Get the government out of housing. Well, Crane, you like the deduction, mortgage deduction, don't you? Yeah, of course I do. And I believe there's a way to remove that over time because I believe in a flat tax or a fair tax. My point is the more loopholes you write into a tax code, the more power you have given the government. And now we are at a $16 trillion plus, and we have Keith Ellison saying, we're not broke, we just got to go where the money is. And that's what I said. It would always be. It would always be about targeting where money is. It's not about freedom anymore. No, it's about the government having to pay its debts and funding the Leviathan. That's what it's become. And every time they do it, they're taking away your freedom. Trust me, economic or otherwise, they are doing it. And people are starting to wake up because, 50% of the jobs that have been created are part-time or temp jobs. Green jobs cost anywhere from $11 million. I'm not kidding. There was an unbelievable report out there to anywhere from $200,000 to $11 million. And 55% of people that were trained for these jobs couldn't get jobs. Think about that. So they pay for the training, no result. And why is that? Because the president came forth and said, I'm going to set a new foundation for this economy. Incidentally, where's his business experience other than being a community organizer? And this is not a personal jab. This is reality. Other than going and sucking dough out of institutions, bank, government, otherwise, and giving it to a grievance group. He is the Minister of Fairness and the great redistributor, but he doesn't know how to produce. He knows how to distribute through the power of government, but he does not know how to produce. He doesn't understand the fundamentals of a strong dollar, free trade, simplified tax system. One that is not progressive, by the way. He doesn't get it. And more people are figuring that out. So why do we start with immigration here? Not because brown people are more likely to be dependent. No. What you have are traits among a population that would be coming in, and that would be unskilled workers, low education, and having to rely on government programs. They could be pale as Seamus, or as tan as George, what's that guy's name? Famous actor. I want to say George Harrison, but I don't think, no, not Clooney. I think it's, he played a vampire. I'm blanking on him. He did a show with his wife a while back. Anyway, here's the point. It's not about race, but they want to make it about race. It's about substance. It's about the result. It's about the government constitutional role and where our rights come from. And it's about the truth. 2 + 2 will not equal 5. And no matter how many times you allow this to keep going, sooner or later it cracks. Because you kill the golden goose, you kill production, and you kill the American dream by taking away the incentive to produce. Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth, AFR Talk.